Women who have given birth, what's something no one told you about it and wish you had known? Apparently some doctors are really excited when they see a good placenta. Well, a compliment is a compliment, I guess. Thanks, I made it myself. How wet everything can get. If your water breaks and you have a slow leak, there'll be fluid home, in the car, in the waiting fridge area, in your room, in the hallway, in the bathroom, combined with all the blood loss and peeing yourself, and it's almost like a slip and slide trying to get around. They gave me a big chuck pad to put between my legs, but it was kind of pointless because it wouldn't stay up unless you held it. When my water broke, it was blood, so I had blood in my bed, blood all over my bathroom, bloody clothes, bloody towels. My house looked like a horrible crime scene. I had a placental abruption at 2 AM on Halloween morning. The horror fan side of me thought this was ironic once I stopped panicking. The first time you get up after a C-section is heck. Absolutely hurts so bad and your incision takes weeks to heal if not months. Being awake during your C-section and you feel all the tugging and pulling inside you. The nurse described it to me as being like having someone do dishes in your abdomen, and that was the most horrifying accurate way you could put it. Your uterus continues to contract after delivery to get back down to pre-prego size. It's pretty painful, worse than menstrual cramps, and breastfeeding really kicks the contractions into high gear. Also that thing the nurses do where they squeeze your uterus from the outside periodically after baby is out. What the frick, I know they're doing their job and it's for my own good, but that made me want to punch my otherwise kind and gentle caretakers. It was almost worse than labor and delivery. Almost. A lot of women throw up. I have a vomit phobia and was not aware of this until about a month before I was due. Luckily there are drugs you can take that help. I managed to avoid throwing up with a lot of drugs. Also the pain wasn't as gradual as I was expecting. I went from this is fine to this is not fine, make it stop in maybe half an hour. But then you have to wait before they can get you set up with an epidural. So it's hard to avoid that not okay period entirely. It hurts to pee afterwards, but if you lean forward on the toilet then the pee goes away from the most painful areas. Also try and time your pain relief around trips to the toilet or other strenuous activities. You can also spray water between your legs when you pee and it dilutes the past so that it doesn't hurt as much. Your glory hole is going to look like a nightmare after. Don't look at it or touch it. Put ice packs and medicine on it, but don't investigate. I repeat, do not investigate. You'll just keep yourself up at night fretting over what happens if it never goes back to normal. But if you do choose to look, know that it won't look like your labia just lost the title fight forever. I tore a tiny bit on my labia, which they stitched, but a poop strain tore one of the stitches. Now I have a little notch like a torn cat's ear. Sigh. ETA, holy crap. This is now my top rated comment. Prolapse and hemorrhoids. Your pelvic floor is fricked. Sneeze pee is still a thing. I hired a personal trainer to help me lose weight and get stronger. Working out has really helped strengthen my pelvic floor and lessen my prolapse. I only have one baby, she's 4 months, and have some prolapse. I thought maybe after multiples, but nope. I plan on seeing a pelvic floor physiotherapist soon. That you have the worst month-long period of your life after giving birth. I read books, took childbirth classes and had no idea. Not a nice surprise. Natural birth. 1. When you're pushing, the nurse or doctor will push the skin around where the head is coming out to try and help the baby get out. It was really distracting. 2. You might shake uncontrollably after giving birth for a little while. It's completely normal. 3. The first time you go to the bathroom after giving birth, the nurse will come with you and change your pad for you, and show you how to use the squirt bottle while you pee so it stings less. 4. It'll sting when you pee for a little while, especially if you needed stitches. 5. When you are pushing your baby out, there will be zillions of people in your room. You won't care. 6. You also won't care if when you poop. Scheduled C-section. 1. You will be brought to the room by yourself at first so they can prep you. 2. They may start opening you up before the person you brought with you is allowed in. They will be able to see everything if they so choose. Tell them not to look. 3. They still have to push the baby out and need to press on your chest to do so. You won't be able to breathe very well while they do so. 4. You can hear everything the doctors are saying. They needed to make my incision bigger because of my son's gigantic head, and they needed an extra doctor in the room because he was huge, 11 lbs 2 ounces and 2 days early. But we didn't know that until after. All we knew is that they were frantically calling an extra doctor in the room and frantically asking for extra scissors. There was a lot of commotion down there and it freaked my fiancé and I out big time. 5. The worst part about the section is the first time you stand up. I was on oxys and the pain still took my breath away. That's all I can think of so far, lol. The shaking after giving birth surprised me. I kept apologizing to everyone who was still working on me or the baby, but they said it was totally normal. I'd never heard of it before. I had known about PPD and the baby blues, but it was honestly sickening to me how sad I was after getting home from the hospital. I had wanted a baby for so long, finally had him and then just hated it. I felt like, what did I do? Why did I do this? It was a shock. I had thought about just leaving, which was absurd. Eventually it went away and I enjoyed my little boy. I mean, at the time too though, I did love being a mom because I constantly checked on him, took pics and all that. But the depression you get can be surprising, considering how badly I wanted to be a mom, and then I'm like, I wish I was anywhere but with him. He is almost 4 and I am so happy. Seeing him after a full day of work is probably the best feeling in the world to me. I just wish I had prepared myself more mentally and for those challenging first weeks, months. Sometimes there are no contractions. If you have back labor, it's just a god mind swan to kill extreme pain for several hours, instead of getting a little break between the contractions. That was sure swell to experience. I had back labor with my son, and for the first few hours I didn't even realize it was labor. Thought I just really needed to fart. After you give birth there is this Wonder Ice Pack Pad, sanitary napkin, you get to use. It will be the most wonderful thing you have ever felt. You may also be afraid to have a bowel movement after labor. You won't want to push again. You don't have to labor while laying down. If you don't get an epidural you can walk, squat, and labor on hands and knees. Let gravity help. Don't think you are confined to the bed. If you think getting a C-section is the easy way out, it's not. It's major abdominal surgery, and your recovery time will be much longer. You are also more at risk for complications and infection. I spent 2 weeks in hospital after my first with a raging infection that could have prevented me from being able to have more children. Random strangers were going to be feeling me up from the inside to see how dilated I was. Every couple hours. After a while you stop caring. If you're pregnant, watch a few episodes of One Born every minute, the UK version, with your partner. It can be graphic, but will also show you different things you can expect. Blood, fluid, etc. And more importantly can start conversations about what you don't want your partner to do in certain situations, as you're seeing it all play out for you. Warning: if the music starts seeming sad or things don't seem to be going to plan in the particular birth you're watching, change to a different episode. Very few of the episodes feature some tragedies, and for some reason they don't put a warning on those episodes. My ex's cousin was in the first season of Obim, and we ended up having the same midwife as her with my youngest. People tend to leave out the fact that you will bleed a lot after giving birth. Take your heaviest period times 20. My cousin told me to just get Depends instead of pads for after, and it's the best advice I'd ever gotten. The pads the hospital gave me immediately after held nothing, but the Depends kept it all in. As a bonus I could also put some ice cubes in them and sit on them to deal with my giant tear. I tell everyone to get Depends. Labor and delivery nurse here. There is no shame in using medications to make the process easier, especially epidurals. Natural birth is a beautiful thing, but not always the best thing. Be flexible. Things will come up that you didn't anticipate. Know your OB-GYN. Use friends, family, mommy blogs to refer you to a good doctor midwife. They can be nice and charming in the office, and a totally different person in the hospital. Don't tell your friends and family to come visit until after you've given birth and recovered. I've seen couples invite their entire family and social circle come see them when they are exhausted, in pain, and trying to breastfeed their new baby. They are trying to perform for their guests instead of resting and bonding with the baby. Bonus: prepare for more crap blood bodily fluids than you've ever seen your life. Thank baby Jesus I did not experience this. I knew you could tear, so I took steps to prevent it. But I did not know you could tear literally all the way from the front to the back and need reconstructive surgery. Happened to my cousin. Yes. Oh dear heaven. It's terrible. I would just sit and cry from the pain after walking 7 steps to the bathroom. I didn't need surgery. Thank goodness. But having that flesh tear is definitely horrible. I am in the UK and had a C-section birth a couple of years ago and am 6 months pregnant with my second. The bits I didn't know beforehand were all straight after the birth and not during. The tea and hot butter toast I got to eat afterwards was one of the most delicious meals I have ever eaten. The postpartum bleeding goes on for weeks. The first poop after a C-section feels like a total victory. The first shower afterwards also felt brilliant. Never ever miss the timing of any painkillers you are advised to take. Doctors and nurses will come by frequently and check you and your baby over for all sorts of things. I was in hospital 2 nights and your baby is totally your responsibility as soon as they arrive. The midwives helped out with nappy changes when I still couldn't feel my legs, but as soon as I could stand walk, that was it. As my baby wouldn't sleep much at the start, I did manage to get them to have her for 2 1-hour periods, which ended up meaning I only got 3 hours sleep in 3 days and I felt horrific. Things got much better when I got home. My husband wasn't allowed to stay in hospital overnight, so that feeling of crushing solo responsibility was difficult to adjust to. One more thing to note, all the mums I know, none of us have had a straightforward natural birth. I did NCT classes and of the 8 couples which participated, 4 of the mums ended up with C-sections and at least 2 of the others needed assisted births. Forceps etc. These were higher than the stats we were told about during the classes. That shower. That first glorious shower. You're filthy, sweaty, covered in body fluids. You're marinating in hormones that make you feel rapturous. That shower. So amazing. I gave birth 3 days ago and I wish I had known how heart-wrenching it would feel to not be able to hold my baby. It was supposed to be a low-risk delivery, but little fellow got his shoulders stuck. About 7 hours later he had a seizure and was whisked to NICU, where he remains until probably next week. No more seizures as yet, but not being able to hold him, feed him or comfort him is almost as bad, and not knowing why this happened. I feel like we're missing precious moments with him, even though I know he's in the best place. Or, I really hope he recovers fast and you get to be with him soon. Hang in there. As my mum said to me, we have 10-pounders. Take the EP when offered, and pain relief is why anyone in this family went back for round 2. 4 generations of women giving birth to 10-pound babies, not diabetes, giant tall people genes. My co-worker recently said of me and my boyfriend, 5'11" and 6'5", you two will have the tallest children that ever lived. I'm afraid. It hurts, like your body is being split in 2 hurts. A mate of mine got pregnant 2 weeks before me and gave birth 4 weeks before me. She told me that labor was an absolute breeze until she crowned, and then it kinda hurt a bit, but then it was all over with. Yeah, I love the girl, but I think she was born without functioning pain receptors. My labor was 27 hours long, and I felt everything. It was the worst experience of my entire life. I had no painkillers even when I begged for them. Apparently I was too far gone. I trusted my midwifery team. They do it for a living, I did it for a day. But dang, it hurt. At the end of the day I got my son, who is pretty freaking awesome, but I'm not doing it ever again. Anyway, my advice is, prepare. You can breath and meditate and center yourself all you want, but they call it labor for a reason. It is worth it, but you will work for it. I had a back labor with my first and like to describe it as being stabbed by 1,000 knives made of white hot fire every contraction. It hurt so much I didn't even feel crowning. The contractions drowned out the pain of the baby coming out. And that labor was only 8 hours long. I can't imagine how you ladies cope with 24+ hour labors. Birth can be traumatic and or completely frick your mental health up. Between the circumstances of the experience and your hormones after the fact, you can literally go from being a human being that loves life and wants that baby and loves it fiercely, to a human being that hates the child you gave birth to, has PTSD, wants to die, or feels a call of the void that's way more strong than average, has irrational thoughts, struggles to function, like, can't get out of bed, doesn't care what happens anymore, doesn't want to wake up, kind of can't function, makes you terrified to ever trust a medical professional again. A lot of people treat birth and everything after like it's the ultimate test of womanhood, with any action that prioritizes mom's health as selfish balls. PPD is no joke. Trauma is a thing. Hormones suck. All bodies are different. FFS, please don't try to power through it. Get help. Get support. Don't wait. And please don't be that butthole that tells someone it can't be that bad or all babies are hard. If you really can't understand the situation. Actually, just don't say that stuff. It's not productive at all. Maybe lead with "How can I help?" Brooke Shields wrote an excellent book about her experience with PPD postpartum psychosis called Down Came the Rain. That the epidural is the most incredible invention of modern medicine. I thought it would maybe dull the pain, but it literally took all of the pain away. Like I went from 6 centimeters in pain at 9 of 10 to being able to peacefully read a book while labor continued. Also, when they injected the liquid into my spine, it felt like a waterfall of cool water running down my back. It was cool. Overall, I rate the epidural a 10/10. I'm currently pregnant with my second and plan to have another. That after birth you can pass large clots. When I say large, I mean large. My first shower after a nurse found me crying in the shower because I thought I was dying because a baseball-sized clot came out. She told me that was normal. It looked like I gave birth to a bloody jellyfish. After I got home, at least 2 or 3 nights later I would wake up, or whenever the baby woke up, drenched in sweat, like I felt I was out in the rain soaking wet. I had to look it up. It would have been nice to know that our bodies dump all the extra water that we no longer need. I thought something was wrong with me. Oh freaking heck. I am about to have my third and I had completely forgotten about this. It was really bad after my second, and it was January, so I was just waking up freezing cold and soaking wet. I can't believe I forgot about this. I'm a dad, so I hope I can chime in. First, bad things can happen. I wasn't prepared for what could happen in a dilemma. During my daughter's birth, first her head got stuck on my wife's pelvis. It was difficult to get unstuck, and when she came out, her head looked like a damn Tetris piece. I didn't say anything, but the nurse obviously knew I was concerned and assured me it would pop right back to normal. I thanked her, but all I could think was freaking how? Then, and I give the doctor credit for not freaking out, but apparently during the labor my wife's cervix tore. That's a thing that can happen, and just because the baby is out, doesn't mean it's over. The placenta and all the other lady goop has to come out, so she had to push a little more. Well, that little more push that she gave sent a little spray of blood out of her tea. I'm talking like a pressurized tank of 500 liters of blood. It looked like an anime villain had been massacred in that delivery room. The doctor handled it without freaking out though, and did it in a way that we weren't even aware what was happening. She played it off like, "Oh, we're just about done. Sit back and enjoy the baby while I've got your hood open. Just gonna change the soil and get out of your way." Come to find out, we were very close to needing a blood transfusion. My wife was shivering because of the loss of blood and was exhausted. She had burst blood vessels in her eyes. The doctor was absolutely amazing, but I was not prepared for something like this to happen, and I'm glad I wasn't. Because I had prepared myself, I would have been freaking out. So my best advice is to trust your doctor. They're so much better at this crap than you can even imagine. Not me, but a friend. Her daughter started bleeding from her T a couple days after birth. Turns out mom's hormones has caused the wee one to have a period, but mom thought it was sexual abuse in the hospital nursery. Apparently this isn't uncommon. One would think parents would be given some info to prevent them from becoming alarmed. My daughter didn't bleed, but my hormones gave her horrible acne when she was about 2 weeks old. My poor, pimply newborn rocked that pubescent look for a full week. Mostly it was stuff after the baby was out. I didn't know PPD could express itself as extreme anger issues. I would cry a lot too, but mostly I just became a screaming monster for several months while hormones desperately tried to get their crap together. I still feel bad for how much yelling my husband put up with for a while there. Hormones also made me insanely paranoid. I couldn't sleep even when I got the baby down because I was convinced he was going to die. I'd sit there crying hanging off the side of his crib. It wasn't great. And nobody told me how long it takes to get back to normal. I'm a year and a half out and I'm just now fully feeling normal again. It's nuts what pushing a kid out does to your body. On a more light-hearted note, the extreme hair loss was unexpected lol. I was so sad watching my glorious pregnant hair literally go down the drain. It's okay. My kid had a hormone-related hair loss at the same time, so we were in that one together. Both our hair came back lol. You have been visited by the happy baby pygmy murder cow. Back away slowly and subscribe quickly to ensure your safety. Thanks for watching. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.